All right, so welcome to the Meet the Innovator chat for October. We've got a couple of guest lists tonight. We've got our past innovator, Steve Mouldy, with us. We've got Andrew Corney, who was here with me in Sydney. And we've got a brand newly minted innovator, Felicity Powell, who's going to tell us about her experience from the Innovator Academy. So it's all very, very exciting. I'm going to start off with having a little look at, well, it's not so much a product update, but it's a really cool thing I found. Now, I'm going to attempt to share my screen and show you. This is a Google Earth Voyager that looks at a bunch of different indigenous languages around the world. And what a Voyager is a collated series of stories or information put onto the lens of Google Earth that you can zoom around and have a good look at. So this looks at a bunch of different indigenous speakers around the Earth. So if I quickly jump across here to Earth itself. So this is inside the Voyager. The Voyagers live over here underneath the little ship's wheel. When we start this Indigenous Languages Voyager, we can zoom around the world and look at a bunch of different languages. And the exciting bit for me, living way down here, is there is some New Zealand content on here. So if I click on the pin, it will take me to a little bit of a story about Te Reo Māori. We can play it, and it will allow us to hear some different languages around the world. And if we jump to different pins, we'll see different languages all around the world, a bit of a story about them, and allow us to hear their different greetings. So I think a really cool experience living on Earth, all the different places we can jump into. And for me, it's really nice because it shows people where these things are as well. So we have that really nice geospatial aspect to these voyages. So when you're in Google Earth, it's just earth.google.com/web. Jump onto the Explorer, the Voyager, ship steering wheel there. Click on those, and there are many, many awesome voyages we can fly through. So that's something that we can have a look at. We could use with our kids. We can get each kid to have a look maybe at a different place around the world and find out a bit about their language. And it helps us to kind of get a really good understanding of different countries, different languages, and different experiences. So that's the really cool thing I'm going to share for this month. Now, if I click on stop share, I'm back again. And Naomi's just joined us. Hey, Naomi, welcome to the chat.
Hello there.
So Naomi is also a freshly minted innovator, and she'll tell us about her experience pretty soon. So what we'll do is we'll start with our past innovator, Steve Mouldy. He's going to have a chat about his innovator experience and what he's doing now, which is some pretty cool stuff. So let me just jump on you there, Steve. So Steve, welcome to the chat.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I'm the old hat here tonight. I was part of the Sydney crew in 2014 and had the really cool experience of going along with one other from my school as well. So Claire Amos was also there at the same time, so that we sort of got that whole excitement thing of running around the school screaming when we realised that we'd both got in. And then also that thing of when you come back afterwards and you're so hyped up after such an amazing experience, and you've got to get back into the swing of everything in the day-to-day school life again, that actually there was someone else there to kind of go, yep, I'm also feeling that same, and we'll get there on our projects, but let's just also get back on with the other things that we need to do.
Cool. So what was your project based around? So
my project was actually around design thinking, and it was really highly influenced because I was part of one where Google had paired up with Notosh, and so they brought in a whole bunch of design thinking things. And my issue was that I was really lucky. So at the time that I became an innovator, I was part of the team at Hobsonville Point Secondary, where we had a whole bunch of awesome people had come together all at once, and I was quite aware that that was not the case for many teachers around New Zealand. And so what I was kind of looking at was, how can we actually help to launch all those that are the lone nuts around the place? How can we actually sort of support them and help them to get all their ideas off and going in their school? So I'd kind of gone a really big moonshot, system-wide type of vision.
Nice. I like to make reference to Derek Siever's video there. I love the lone nut video. It's absolutely fantastic. Some days, when you come back as an innovator, you do feel like that lone nut. As everybody's saying, you come back and tell you, oh, and then we did this and that. They went, yeah, that sounds awesome, man. That sounds really cool. Don't understand you at all. So where have you found yourself now, Steve? Because you're taking off on a whole new different project, aren't you?
Yeah, look, I'm even wearing one of my t-shirts today.
Nice.
Just thankfully, I was actually
Product
wearing
placement.
the t-shirt all day at work. I promise. So I'm actually now at the point. So after the Google Innovator experience, I eventually moved on from Hobsonville Point and went off to another secondary school, like a traditional secondary school, and trying to help bring about a whole lot of change there. And then an opportunity came up last year. I actually just got asked to go in and meet with some people that had started up a small school, and they were about to start building their own premises, and they were looking for some help in terms of the layout of the design of it all and things. And I got about 5 minutes into the conversation, and they said, let's have a different conversation. How would you like to come and actually be principal and really work with us?
Wow.
And so, yeah, I'm now, and so I went home and thought about it all and went, yep, I'm going to be mad. And here comes my cat. That I'm really going to regret it if I don't jump at this chance, because basically where I'm at age, so it was originally called Academy for Gifted Education. When I came on board at the start of this year, we did a big rebrand to Age School, and it's a school based on all of those ideas that any one of these innovator events has ever talked about. The personalized education, really sparking curiosity for kids, and really thinking, how do we best do this for our kids? And so, yeah, I'm leading a small school based in the middle of Takapuna on the North Shore, doing just that.
Wow.
And the whole idea is, once we get it up and running well here, and by running well, we're currently 20 kids. It looks like we'll be somewhere between 30 to 40 at the start of next year.
Wow, cool.
By the time that we get to sort of 50 to 60 kids there, in the owner's eyes, that shows we've proved the model can work. And the idea is that our school long term, so year 1 to 13 school, somewhere between 150 to 180 students max in the school.
Yeah.
And so so that you get to know the kids really, really well over those few years, and get to know the families well, and can hook them up with great internships at businesses nearby. And then what we'll do is we'll actually keep it at that size there, and we'll open others. So, looking at other places across New Zealand that we can open up in future and grow that way.
Wow, that sounds pretty amazing. So how do you think your Innovator Academy experience has kind of helped you out where you are now?
It's being aware of all the different ideas out there. I mean, the crew that I met in Sydney 5 years ago now, I actually, since then I've been over to conferences that they've organised in Melbourne, and we've kept in contact and shared ideas. And it's that, you get to meet a whole lot of awesome people and actually feel, okay, I'm not just a lone nut here. There are a whole bunch of people with great ideas. And now I guess part of what I'm doing is I'm helping our teaching team to open up to all of those types of ideas now. It means that I'm not just really restricted in terms of thinking about how school works. We're cracking things open and really going, actually, it doesn't have to be this way. There are so many structures in schools that you don't, that are just there because it's the way they've always been done. And I think the innovator experience helps you to look at things from a different perspective and break that open. And now, I'm in the awesome position of being a principal where I can go, I don't like that structure. Let's change it.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Hey, thanks very much for your time, Steve. Sounds very exciting. And you gone from your innovator experience back to sort of very traditional, and then into crazy moonshot thinking again. Yeah. So nice one. Thanks very much for your time, mate.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Talk to you. All right.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Could I jump in there with a question?
Before
you depart? So I'm really intrigued by, so you've had this experience in startup schools effectively with Hobson and your new school, but then you've also been in a traditional school. In terms of impact, where do you think the most gains can be made? A startup school, bring people in who have that way of thinking, or trying to change from within?
Yeah, why I went off into the other school from Hobsonville Point was that I really thought, awesome, now I can go out and really start to change things from within. And where I got to, it was that whole thing where they brought me in saying, we want change. And then it was not that much change. And that's fine, because there were other things going on in the school at that time that they're like, actually, our focus is now on this, and that's what we're going to do. But for me, I found that I was, if it had been closer to home for me, I might have stuck with it a bit longer. But I could see it was going to take a good, somewhere in the realm of 7, 8, maybe longer term, 10 years to really get it to where I thought it should be. Right. And I wasn't prepared to play that long game when, for me, I was traveling for an hour across the city to do that. And so that was having an impact on me and my family, So for me, not seeing my family to constantly head up against concrete ceilings was not exactly what I was willing to do.
Yeah, cool.
And that's, my big thing now is I don't want our school, although our school is only ever going to be a small thing, we're looking at how can we actually find a way for this to get out into the system. And so that's where obviously I've got to work on our team first, but then after that we're really open that actually we might start up some type of professional development arm, like your Northern Beaches schools in Sydney do, how they've got their school thing, but their PD for their school, they actually open up to all schools. And even next year, so one of the big PD things that we did as a team this year, we all went to Australia to work with Ross Green, who's a basically like flipping behaviour management stuff. His thing is that behaviour is just a signal that the kid doesn't have the skills to meet your expectations. And so his work is about meeting all the underlying stuff. Well, we've managed to convince them that they should finally come out to New Zealand, not just around Australia. And so, in end of March next year, they're actually coming. This American guy is now finally having his first time coming to New Zealand, and he's going to be, presenting in Auckland, and we're going to really push people to get along to that.
Awesome, cool, fantastic, mate. Awesome, sounds great. Thanks very much for your time. That was cool. Cheers, Steve.
Cheers.
All right, let's meet Felicity. So Felicity, welcome to the chat. Do you want to give us a little bit of intro about yourself, your experience maybe at Singapore, and let us know about what your project's all about.
Okay, yeah, no, I can do that. And it's really interesting because that question brought up a lot of stuff that I've been kind of thinking about. So I'll hopefully get to that in a sec. Cool. So yeah, my name's Felicity. I became a teacher in January this year. I am part of the Teach First Aku Mātātupu program. So I did a postgraduate law certificate at the end of last year, and then I went straight into the Teach First program, which is, so you start your summer intensive, which is sort of taking, it's essentially taking the postgraduate diploma of teaching, maybe, I don't know, and just cramming as much essential information as possible into 5 weeks over the summer, and then they just kind of unceremoniously throw you into the classroom, and you learn how to swim really fast. Wow. And that's kind of, so I'm part of Aku Mātātupu. So Aku Mātātupu is built around the idea that we know that educational inequality in New Zealand is some of the worst in the world. So a lot of our young people are having a lot of hard time in education, and we believe that they deserve better. And by trying to, that's why the whole change from within / startup school question was really interesting for me, because obviously we're coming from the idea that you can change the system from within, but that doesn't actually negate the idea of startup schools being a really important part of that ecosystem, because you also need to model how it can be done and how you can see it happening, because it's really hard for policymakers and for government to really put money into and resources into things that they can't see happening. So these are all really, really important parts of the system. I didn't actually know that Google Classroom existed at the beginning of this year. I'd never heard of the G Suite for Education. I was a new teacher. I did 1 week, like we did a 3-week kind of on-site sort of practicum at Rotorua Boys High School, and then I did 1 week practicum up here called Vaka. And I heard about Google Classroom when I started my job at Mount Roskill Grammar School, which was really, really exciting. They brought me on as a digital technologies teacher. And the moment that I kind of saw this tool, I was just like, this is massively powerful. This is so cool that this exists, and I want to learn more. And we kind of had like a very quick and speedy induction. But then I was like, hey guys, can anybody walk me through how to use these tools, because I really feel like they can reduce the time that I spend on admin, so I can actually increase the time that I'm spending on trying to be a good teacher, because I'm a brand new teacher and I'm not even that really. And so, but kind of the training that was going around that wasn't actually really happening. Like there was one lunchtime that we were given kind of quick and dirty tips on how to, you know, put assignments up there. And that's where I learned for the first time that you can do the make a copy for every student. Nice. It was kind of, So I went off and found on my own the Google Training Center. And the moment I saw that, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so I kind of binged the training center. It's sort of like in one go. I got level 1 in April. Which is, it's pretty, so the Teach First program is you're bonded to teach in a low decile high school for 2 years, and you also do a full-time master's degree at the same time. So we have quite an intense workload. But it's great. Like we all knew this going into the program, and it is really intense, but it's sort of like, you know, the steel is forged in fire kind of thing. So so it was really intense, but I was getting a whole load out of the training center, and it was helping me really be inspired and think creatively about what I can do in my classroom and how I can actually just make this really cool and really interesting for my students. And also just because I think also a lot of it came from efficiency, because I was like, I have so little time that if I can leverage these tools to actually make that time more worthwhile for my students, and this is you know, a winner for all. So I got my level 1 certification in April, and then I got my level 2 certification in June.
Wow.
And I kind of and it was, honestly, it was like I had an assignment due that weekend, and I'd been up all night working on it. And you know how you're kind of like, your brain is just kind of going, and I couldn't sleep, and so I kind of went to the training center and did all like the last few modules in one go. And then in my sleep deprived state at like 3 a.m. in the morning, I was like, I'll just sign up for the exam later on Saturday. And so I took the exam, and then then a couple of days later, I saw that the deadline for the Singapore Academy was coming up in a few days. And I was like, you know, Aku Mātātupu is all about solving this really big challenge. Like, you know, the challenge of educational inequality is so complex, and there's so many different things working into it, socially, culturally, you know, resource-wise, financially, all of these different things. And one of the main problems that I was seeing, even just in my classroom, was about the digital divide, which is essentially, you know, we've got populations of students who don't have access to devices outside of school. We've got a quarter of our high school students in New Zealand who don't have access to internet. So, which makes, you know, it brings its own unique challenges, but because there is also a cultural aspect to that, there's more things that we can be doing that actually don't involve throwing a whole load of resources at kids. Like, you know, it's not about needing to buy our kids Chromebooks. It's actually possibly about changing the way that our classrooms function in a way that's more friendly culturally and understanding of them. So I just, like, in 3 days, like, my regional teaching advisor helped me make the video with my year 11 computer science class, who are amazing. Nice. And so they were awesome. Like, I've been so open with all of my classes through this whole process, because I also feel like it's really important to model lifelong learning with your students and show them, you know, I'm learning too, and I'm going to fail too. And I was fully going to apply for this thinking that I wasn't going to get in, and that it would be a really cool learning experience for them to just be like, you know, you go for everything, you need to try these things, and it's okay if you don't get it. It's okay if you fail. So we made this video, send it, and then a few weeks later I found out I got in, and I was just like, okay, cool. So I have to apply for leave now. And so that's sort of the journey to the academy. So the challenge that I'm working on is the digital divide. Through the process of leading up to the academy was really interesting, because of course you have to do the preparation work. And my affinity buddy was like, I feel like this was just like a match made in heaven. It was incredible. I don't know what kind of algorithm they used to like pair us up, but it was just phenomenal. Like we connected straight away, and we saw a lot of different things. She was working on a very similar issue in Malaysia, and so we were kind of just swapping notes and doing the 5 whys. And the thing that we were coming up against was just like, you know, it's not actually a technical thing, because I was kind of going at it where I was thinking, you know, maybe this looks vaguely like a curriculum for for junior students, but then we started looking at it's just like, actually technology classes are really, they're unfriendly cultural spaces. They're not very inclusive, and so, you know, for your young people who are coming in who've had parents working in IT industries and things like that, they're fine, they feel like they belong there, but for the other students, what's going on with them? So yeah, and the academy was mind-blowingly awesome. It's really hard to put it into words. And Naomi was amazing. Like, you know, everyone you meet, I think that's the biggest thing, is like the people that you're connecting with are just expanding your world just tenfold. It's sort of like a, you know, a champagne cork. Like once it gets popped out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Yeah, nice,
you know,
nice
you kind of feel like that.
Yeah.
I used to work in the wine industry, so
Okay,
but the yeah, and it changed. So my actual project has now turned into at the moment it looks like a web application, and it takes it basically facilitates students being able to create visual tools that share their cultural background and how they feel that they fit into their culture, that can be read by any teacher of any cultural background and understand what that teacher needs to deliver to them to give them a space of safety and belonging, which I feel for all of our students deserve, and a lot of our students are not getting. And part of that is just to do with our time, like our time restraints as teachers. Like we are in this unique position to create these safe spaces for our kids, no matter where they're coming from. And yet we have so much going on that it's just like, how, you know, I like Mount Ross School, amazing school. It's one of the most diverse schools in the country. And I have students of, like, I teach 3 Pākehā kids out of 100. And
wow. Yeah.
But the thing is that all of the different cultures in there, I don't want to homogenize them. I don't want to put them in a box like this is a Pacifica school student. No, they're from Samoa. And do they identify with being from Samoa? Do they identify with being from Tonga? Like, what does that mean to them? What does culture look like to them? And how can I learn about that not as quickly as possible, because you don't want to be flippant about it, but at the same time, how can I do them justice? Because when you're pushed for time, like, it's saying kia ora to your students is not enough.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing that I'm trying to work on.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. You've had certainly a rapid race to the academy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. That sounds really cool. Hey, so we'll jump over and have a quick chat to Naomi, because she's popped in here. We'll come back again and we'll have a little chat to Andrew in a minute. So Naomi, hi, welcome along. So
hello there.
So do you want to introduce yourself and tell us about your Innovator experience?
Yeah. I don't know if I can squeeze in as much as what Felicity did. That was a serious power through your through your whole career.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. But yeah. I think my kind of journey. So I'm Irish, teaching in Auckland, teaching in New Zealand. But I trained in England, and then I was working in London for 3 years before I came here. And I think my journey kind of started with myself, like kind of changing a lot in my first year teaching. And I think I was very much like a go-getter, like do loads of stuff, and then whenever I was first teaching, because there was so much going on, I very much became like a very introverted person. Well, like my brain felt like I was anyway.
Right.
And so that kind of started me into understanding what's making me change and what's happening. So I got really interested in the brain, and so like that helped me understand my kids, because I feel like a lot of people were telling me that behavior wasn't, they were just being bad. Like when my first teaching was very much like their bad behavior and there was no explanation for it. But me seeing a change in myself and then seeing a change in the kids, I was like, there has to be some reason behind this.
Nice.
And so I started getting really interested in like the neuroscience behind things, and because it was helping me, I felt like that would really help other people. And so it did. Like I was really seeing big shifts in my students, and I ended up getting a lot of the bad children because I could understand them, and I love them. They're my favorite. Like they're my favorite. If I could have like a full class, I literally beg for them. They just crack me up. Nice. And so like that really got me on my path of, I was helping myself but also helping other people, and so it kind of got me through the London stages. And then once I got to here, I was able to actually understand what I'd learned from that. And so I started a podcast and a YouTube channel this year called Empathetic Educators, because I feel like the more we can understand people and have empathy, that's what it's all about, really. I feel like as teachers we have empathy and like a lot, and we really, the more we can hone in on that skill and really teach to that skill, I think that really helps with actually understanding the kids that we have in front of us. Because I think like someone said before about the behavior, and I think behavior is communication for me. Like it's, if something happened and there's something actually going on behind them, and it's really just helped me have a whole different sphere on life in general, not just teaching, but it really has helped me with teaching the empathy piece. So I've just been interviewing people, and so it's like the neuroscience behind it, because I kind of feel like whenever I went to doctors, whenever I was feeling like that, they just kind of said, you're just like that, but there is a reason behind it, you know, like there is like, your behavior is communication there, and I feel like the more we can make links between neuroscience and teaching and therapy and all those things, then that can really help. But me as teacher, I was like, why do I not know about the brain whenever I'm teaching the brain? Like it just didn't make sense to me at all that like that's what we're working with, but that wasn't a part of me knowing that.
Yeah, totally.
And so like that's where my kind of background is and where I've got to whenever I came to New Zealand. And then so it was a whole, like I literally have loved this. I was only meant to stay for a year. Well, I thought about staying for a year, but now it's been nearly 3, because like it's just, the education system here is just unbelievable. Like I really have, considering 3 years took me to lose myself a little bit, it's taken less than 3 years to really, really find myself. And I think that's due to like the education system here, which is like unbelievable. And I think that's like helped me be able to see what teaching can be as well, because I think a system at my school, I love my school, of my people in my school in London, but as a system in England, that was where you're going up against the wall. But I feel the school that I'm in, so I'm a Stonefield school in Auckland. I didn't think I mentioned that before. So they're like they're talking about like a startup school. So it's set up for the reason that it's so it's a modern learning environments and innovative learning environments, and that's purpose built. So that's really helped me be innovative and really, really focus on that. And I'm really lucky to have a leadership where I can be a big thinker. So we say about like being like the lone nut. I feel like I can kind of come. I was talking to my friends at school. I definitely took it up 10 notches going to like I feel going to like Singapore, because I feel like sometimes people be like, oh, Naomi's coming with her ideas again. Like she's just so excited about everything that happens.
Yeah.
But whenever you're in Singapore, you feel like everyone's on that level. So it was actually really cool to not have to like hide your ideas and hide like how excited you can get about like things that can happen.
For sure.
But yeah, like that was my kind of big takeaway, was there is teachers out there and in their masses who want to change and who want to like do what I feel like my mission is as well. So so yeah, that's been like my kind of journey. So like it links in, so empathy's been my big piece. Linking into Singapore, my challenge is, it came from, I feel like legislation in digital age is very much going forward, and digital tools and outcomes are coming out, but there's no legislation that's meeting it. So like people who are creating actually have to be in charge of deciding if they're morally correct or if what they're making is going to enhance people. And so my big thing was, how can we bring empathy into the creation part? So obviously design thinking, the empathy piece. So that's out of the, I didn't have that idea at the start, but out of the journey of the program, I kind of seen the empathy. Obviously that's naturally where it fits in. So I definitely am a big thinker person. So I've spent the last week on the holidays like bringing it back and trying to have a plan for it this week. But that's kind of my tool, is how can I, like, my idea is the empathy aspect of design thinking and getting learners to think about their choices of an impact, but then how do they help other people realize their choices of an impact too. So like that's kind of where I'm at now at the minute. I had a big meeting today with Mary Manzano. She was I don't know if you guys have met yet. And so I had a chat with her today, and she kind of got me thinking about just the funneling, because I think I'm always a person who's a big thinker and like, oh my god, this can happen, this can happen. So like I mean my challenge is kind of bringing it back. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at the minute. But
that's awesome.
Loving
cool.
it.
Well, it's been fantastic to meet you both. I remember back to when I came back from the academy. You come back with thousands of ideas, and it's that tricky bit of getting it right down to kind of really focusing. And I think that's important. It's all part of the process, and it's interesting that both of you talk about the fact that you start with something, then it turns into something else, and through design thinking, that's something that you really got to embrace. Embrace the challenge.
You ring that fail bell. Fine
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
I miss the fail
Yeah.
bell so much. I really
Oh,
want
yeah.
my one in my class.
Yeah.
Oh, for
I think
sure.
I might bring it in for next term.
We have to find where we can buy one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, we'll just jump quickly over to Mr. Corney there, who was over in who was lucky enough to be in Sydney with me, or maybe I was lucky enough to be in Sydney with him, perhaps. So Andrew, what's up with you? Where are you at in your journey at the moment?
Yeah, hey, just firstly, big props to you, Steve, for keeping this connection going, and it's good to sort of dip in each month to see what other people are up to, and then, yeah, as I said before, you started recording the screen, you just get that bit of energy shot and reinvigorated and carried on with the mahi. So where I'm at now, if hopefully I can share my screen, otherwise I'm going to talk really boringly.
Sweet.
So hopefully this looks familiar to people.
We're not seeing anything yet, mate.
Actually, I'll just click this button here.
There you go.
How about that?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my
Now
God.
we're
So
talking.
remember those? Make the prototype and sticky notes and what's it going to look like. So that was me in Sydney. And what are we now? I think we're almost halfway through.
I think we're just about 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've now gone and built something. So this was all about how might we was about, assess what matters and looking at these key competencies rather than knowledge. So got this, Google form where kids fill out where they're at with some competencies that fills into a spreadsheet. I got engrossed in the spreadsheet. I'm a bit like Alice Keeler, like whatever the question is, the answer is always a spreadsheet. And then the teacher can have some input, so there's a teacher component. And the thing that I've been stuck on, ask me where I'm at, is I wanted this thing in the middle that was going to bring it all together. The one ring to rule them all, this sort of, it was going to spit out some dashboards for the student and the teacher about where kids are at. And that's been a real problem for me. So I've been playing around with Google Data Studio, and it sort of works, but it's not quite there yet. And I'm at a bit of a funk. I've been working on this for the last month and a half doing bits and pieces. So I have just been stuck for a bit. And, you get into these mentoring, you get a mentor, and we have these weekly meetings, and mine's been, we were advised to think about if we were going to choose someone from the other side of the world. And a guy that seemed to be a good fit with me in terms of the interest was from the UK, but we're different time zones, and that's been a bit of a challenge, eh? So we've actually got another one scheduled for this evening, actually. But so in terms of where I'm at, can see what I want to try and do. I'm a bit stuck at the moment, getting some really good feedback from the mentor, but just the logistics of arranging times and how that support is working out.
For
It's
sure.
a bit of a challenge for me at the moment.
Yeah, sweet. So you're kind of in the pit at the moment, down in the learning pit.
Deep down in the learning pit.
Just hold on to that why, man. Hold on to the why. That's cool.
So you were at Sydney this year, weren't you? You two, yeah. I think you met Jared from?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the person who actually told me all about this. Who met Maniklani and Dorothy Burt. Have you met? Yeah, Dorothy Burt. Yeah, so I just made a connection there now about this. They were the ones who had a big influence on me joining the actual Innovator program.
Cool.
Yes, it's funny. Felicity told her origin story about getting into the Innovator Academy, and with Steve Mouldy online, that's all becoming a little bit connected, because I first started this journey back in 2016 at a GAFE summit in Albany Senior High, and heard about this, this Claire Amos and this Steve Mouldy and this Richard Wells and Dorothy Bird and all these people, and it's just, as you sort of stalk them online over the years and have a peek into what other people are doing. And I think the real strength of this is the connections you make with people. It's not about the tech or the projects or the whatever, it's the connection.
I think we're pretty lucky in New Zealand as well. I think it's a very connected, obviously being like a smaller country, it's a very connected country, and I think it's a very innovative country if you wanted to be. So that's what I definitely felt from it, and being part of the Maniklani is they're really pushing forward as well, and there's so many different pods across New Zealand, especially in Auckland. There is some people, and you just mentioned people who I've only been here a while, but I know those people who you've just said. So it's so cool that that's I feel like you can really make an impact in New Zealand. We've talked to ministry and everything, which is so that's not heard of at all back home. So it's so cool to actually feel like you can do something, not just talk about it and nothing happen.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is quite the nice thing about being a village of 4 million people, where we are quite small and we can innovate really, really easily. Sorry, Felicity, was that?
Yeah, I think it's following from what you're saying, Naomi, is like, you know, I've been in the education industry, like I started the program in November, but you don't really fully get into it until you start in your teaching position. And so I've been in for 8 months now, and like I've met Clara Amos through like a school visit, and it was amazing. And it's just like already kind of meeting those kind of people. So I highly, like, I really agree with you that connectedness, you really feel it once, like if you want to be connected to that in New Zealand, you can, and you can kind of reach out, and particularly with Twitter is pretty amazing. And I think also I get a little bit of an unfair advantage with being part of Ako Mātātu, because it's just like that's kind of what the program is about, is like building this cohort of like interconnectedness and like putting you in touch with all the people so that you can make those changes, because that's what they're essentially trying to do. So
exactly.
So I definitely sort of talk about what you're saying.
Cool. So,
sorry.
So as you say, so Felicity, we'll kind of round it up. So Felicity, if you could think about a brief statement about what did you get out of the innovator experience, and why should people do it?
100% the connections, like the people that you meet, like definitely the expansive thinking that you get pushed to go through for sure, but the people themselves, like the people who are running the academy, but mainly the other innovators in it, it's really reassuring, particularly when you're coming from like that whole like lone nut thing, but also when you're in a room with all these other people who are actually really passionate about education, and they believe that they can make changes to, you know, we have some real serious systemic challenges, and we've got some big challenges in the world, and these people genuinely believe that they can make a positive difference in that, and that's huge. That's really huge. So I think
awesome.
Yeah, connecting people.
Cool. Same question for you, Naomi. What do you think is one thing you took away from it, and why should people get involved in the Innovator Academy if they can?
I think, like, I agree, it's the people aspect of it. So I done a couple of chats with people for the podcast and YouTube channel whenever I was there, and the common theme across the whole thing was everyone gets stuck. Like, everyone gets stuck, no matter what it was, across their whole, or across any, no matter where they were in the world. The common theme was, I've had this challenge, I've had to overcome it. Like, it's so good to know that other people are in that boat, and like that's what, like, I think is the most important part about connections in general, especially as teachers. Like, it can be so isolating and so alone whenever like you don't know the other people, and you think the other people are just getting on with it, and you're the one that's actually wrong and not knowing what you have to do.
Yeah.
And I think like it's so inspiring to hear other people, like, actually they do feel challenged, and they do feel all those things that you feel, and actually it's inspiring to feel like you're part of something bigger than, and you know that you can make an impact. So like that's the connection piece. I agree. It's like, it's really inspiring.
Cool. And Steve, if you can remember back to all those years ago, what's the thing you remember? Well, I guess what's the thing that sticks with you the most that you took from the academy?
It's it's going to be the people again, the same as what everyone's saying. It's you do meet up with a whole bunch of different people. You have this, I think the way that it's designed, where you get this really intense experience for a few days where it's all in, and then you get the ongoing connection and the check-ins afterwards. Yep. Like, that's the best type of professional development you can get. I've been lucky that I've had another fellowship that was really similar, and it is, it is streets ahead. It is the way to do professional development, where you get that really intense shared experience together with a whole bunch of other people, and then you go away, and as you're trying to work away on it, you get those nice little regular check-ins again to help you out with it. Now, my project itself actually started to lead me where I thought I was going to end up leaving school and actually becoming almost like a consultant type side of things. I went, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to be in school. So my path actually shifted a bit from it, but that whole experience still had such a transformative experience on me.
Cool, awesome. And Andrew, same deal for you, mate. So what did you take away from the academy, and why should people get involved if they're thinking about it?
Yeah, again, just definitely the people, but just a few other little nuggets. I guess it's it's I guess the confidence. You know, a few people talked about that imposter syndrome, and I think that gave me a bit more confidence to. Like, for example, a couple of months ago, we managed to host a GG event here in Tauranga, and I don't think I probably would have done that if I hadn't been to something like the Innovator Academy. The other classic was, it was just nice to go to the Google offices in Sydney, you know, the home of technology, and see them have their glitches as well. Remember, some of the feeds didn't work, or I can't work my slides showing up. So it was quite neat to see the top of the drawer having those issues, because we've all done it in staff meetings. We're showing something to do with technology and it doesn't work, and it's the technology guy couldn't even get it to work.
Flip side of that though, like before I went to the academy, for like 7 weeks my projector wouldn't work in my room, and as a digital technologies teacher, that's really bad, and it took 7 weeks for them to fix it for me, and it was just like, and the bulb just needed replacing. So when we go to Google, and I was running one of the Spark Camp sessions, and I just plugged my computer in, and just instantly everything worked. It was like a spiritual experience. I just I had to take a moment. It's like, this is amazing.
Awesome. Hey, thanks very much, guys, for your time. It was really cool to meet Naomi and Felicity. It was great to catch up with Andrew again. Of course, catch up again with Steve, hearing about his new adventures. So that's so cool to hear. You know, the journeys that you're all on, either long or short, and the impact that the academy can have on everyone. So I'm going to sign off and say thank you very much, and we will hopefully this one went back better than last time. I learned to drive Zoom a little better, so even got my green screen work in the background, which I'm quite stoked about, indeed, with our big old picture there. So ka kite anō, thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of it.
Kia ora.